Hello viewers, welcome to Core for Any. If you hear new, hit subscribe buttons and notification bell so you can never miss any our incredible content. Music player Flutter inside you need to create here the audio service, just audio and get it package you need to integrate inside this Flutter app and need to create here the Android audio player widgets you need to develop with handling with the background audio. We need to manage the next, previous and play push buttons. We need to integrate with the audio service. Let's start how to write down this inside this Flutter apps. Need to first of all needs here some package you need to import here. First of all need to needs here this audio service package. This is the totally handling for the backgrounds service. You need to handling this package and need to controls here the device and set buttons and lock screen notifications, iOS control centers. You need to card display, smartwatch, need to everything are the handling this package. You need to configures only the mobile phone background process. We need to configure here. Let's start how to insert put this package, and then after we need to use here the just audio package. We need to integrate with here the audio player. Need to use the play plus and like the escape volume. Need to all configuration set here and get its package. We need to configure here the audio handling class to create here the single stone class. We need to develop one time initialize, after not initialize need to one time initialize, and that is just the use this package for the catch network image. We need to catch, we need to use here for the image displaying the lazy loading. We need to use this catch network image. We need to use, and this video may be too long because we need to pull audio service and with just audio plugins are the configures. It's here step by step. Need to guides here, and if you miss any contents so not working your the audio players, that's why you need to completely need to configure how to work step by step. Create your sites. First of all the watch full video and then after need to integrate your project. If you any question so please write down in the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Let's start how to write down. First of all need to import here the audio service inside our projects. Need to copy here the install package. Need to needs here, and now need to copy this audio service here and need to set this here. Now need to go inside the space and now need to integrate here this audio player service, and then afterwards need to add here the just audio player service. Need to get this here the just audio. These plugins are integrated here, and then afterwards need to integrate here the get it package. Need to integrate here, copy this here, and now need to paste this here. And same as you need to integrate here the catch image. Now need to copy here and need to save this pub space file. First of all need to put these lines inside here pub space. Now need to save this here, and now this integrates here the importing this library for library imports here, and now step by steps need to configure audio service first of all, and then related classes need to develop, and then last we need to develop here the audio players, and main audio player need to develop here. Main player are the integrates inside the single stones. Not every time need to initialize these players. Need to one time initialize and reuse. We need to every times. Let's start here. All library are the imported done, and need to check here the one by ones. Need to integrate follow these steps here. First of all need to go here this audio service and to scroll down for the readme inside. This is the process here. Need to needs here the for Android configurations, and this package specially work inside the Android. Need some configurations. You need to add this Android setup to configure here. First of all now need to open here the Android Studio, and need to already added here the audio service related images. We need to put this here the drawables. All images we need to set like this the favorite buttons, then after the rewards and push service, play arrow, skip next, skip previous, stop, and music icons. We need to set this here. This is the all are the imported here. To need to input these images, and do one more configuration inside. We need to set here the app widgets backgrounds colors, we need to set this here, this value here you can see here. And then after here the inner view related information, need to set here the colors and radius, need to set this here. And this is the background, we will not change it, we need to need these two files, need to set this here. And then after we need to configure so one by one, and need to needs here create one layout for the app widgets, need to develop here for the audio players for the background service. Let's first of all need to configure inside the many-based files, and need to set this here and need to configure here. First of all, so need to copy these lines here, the XML tools, and need to put this line here. So need to set this here, the tools need to give here inside the many-based files. And now need to give here some permissions needed for these players, need to set this here. And another more service need to give here. One by one need to integrate here. And now need to give this Android activities names, need to change this here, need to copy here. And now need to change this activity names here, now set. And now need to create here the two service, need to copy these lines, and need to service and receivers need to create here, need to copy here, and need to paste this here after this metadata. Now need to set this here and to format this text here to it here. Now need to set this here. Now need to give here the more permissions, need to needs here, need to set here. And now need to give first of all the internet permissions, need to give this here. Now set this here, this is the internet permissions. Then after need to storage read writes, need to camera and backup locks, need to give this here, these permissions need to need this here. And one more permissions need to needs here for the install package, we need to remove these tools, need to this here, this permission here. Now need to set this here. This is the need for the if you upload inside the Google Play Stores, need to remove this package, this warning. That's why I need to fix it here today. Now need to this line to fix here the errors for the installation package, need to now need to set here one use clear text topics, need to give here the true, need to set here. And then after need to set this here the receivers. First of all need to create here the receiver codings, need to set here the widgets, need to first of all the create inside the Kotlin files. Now need to go here and need to configure here the Kotlin files, need to create here the widgets. Now need to create here the new files and to write down here music widget get t, and to write down here the one by ones to codes. First of all need to give here the package, we need to copy this player package here, and now need to paste this here. Now need to import here the package here, android dot app dot intent. And after imports need to copy and paste here the all required needed, so need to put this here. I already prepared this all things, need to set this, need this all packages, need to import here. And now need to create here the our widget class, need to write down here the class, write down here the music player typo here, fix this typo, music not to give widgets dot app widgets providers, need to use this here, get this here. Now need to override methods, need to use that the functions on update and create here the brackets and text question mark to set this here. Widgets. Managers need to give this here the app widget manager. Question mark to set this here. Now need to write down here the jet IDs int array. Question mark need to set this here and to create here the open brackets. Now need to write down here the if app widgets use this methods here id not equal to null to give this here the value for here the widgets small this here id IDs brackets all this here the updated date app widget and to use here the context. Now use here the app widgets to app managers to give years. Then afterwards need to app widgets ID need to give this here. Now need to these are codes are the done and need to create here the tolerance methods need to develop here to write down here the internal functions and to get the update pass here the context value need to give this here the this value passed here. Write down here ID. Remove this question mark, no needs here the question marks. Now need to get here the functions. And now need to define here the where get text equal to text mark get string use here the resource need to use string app widget need to get and to define this property inside here the XMLs need to create it. Now not creating anything, need to create after the layout screen, then need to get this string here. Now need to create here the intent is equal to write down here the intent gets here maybe type of text and activity colon dot class dot java this here colons this is the Java codes not used fix this here lines but also need here the is equal to give this here the remote view. Set here the text question mark dot package name. R layout what's need to set here music play. Music widget not player. Now need to set this here. Now another need to write down here the intent is equal to set here 10. I have to write down here 10 actions. What actions? Parse. Codes app slash display. Need to set this intent for here. Now need to create here the methods not well, and now need to set here the pending intents activity. Now need to write down pending then this here this value here use here the view these variables. Now need to set this here the set on click event pending intents give here the r dot id dot on go push buttons to this here and to pass this here the pending intent. Maybe we need to mistake this text lines here. Wrong place set this value. Text at 0 and to set here 10/0. Now to paste this here and this pending instance to set this here. And last one lines need to needs here the app widget manager need to update active and to set here widgets ID and then after. Okay, now this is the created here the widget kt files. And now need to develop here the layouts. Needs here first of all need to create inside here the resource and to create here the new folder for the layout. Create new folders to write down here the layout. Now need to write down here to create here the new file. To write down here the music widget.xml to create here. And you need to copy this UI data. First of all, to write down here the XML file, linear layout. We need to set this here. The Android, pass this value. Lines and write down here the XML. To set here the schema rules, need to give this here, and another property you need to needs and to complete this UI here. Like need to set this value here. First of all, need to give here the layout width, match parent, layout height. Need to give your match parents, layout gravity centers, layout margin left 14, margin light 4 dp, and gravity centers. Need to set this all property for this here, and need to over this linear layout here the text. Complete this here. Now need to create here the some another property. We need to develop here the view. Now need to create here the view flippers. We need to create here, copy this here and to paste this here. This is the view flippers property. Need to define here, and then after again we need to develop here the another linear layouts here, and over this linear layout here we need to copy and paste because we need to no more wasting time here. So need to use this like these functions directly. We need to put this here, and now need to create here the image buttons. Need to give here for the skip buttons. We need to develop like this. We need to set this all value, and drawables need to use this previous image and set this here, and give here the colors to set here. Now need to play push buttons. We need to create here, over here to paste this here, this code to create here the play push buttons, and same again. So need to create here the next previous buttons. Need to skip buttons. Need to develop. Now these layouts are the done here, and to set this here manifest, and now need to write down here the this logic here. Need to configure here the these widgets. Now need to go inside the manifest and to write down here the this also need to put this here, and to use this music app widgets here exported well. Now to set here false, and to intent filter to set here the like these actions need to set here, and to set this metadata and this receivers, and after need to here some actions need to configure here the more intent filters. Need to put this here. Now need to paste this here the these actions are needed here. Need to give here the this intent filter here, and this is the configuration are the manifest are to set here done. And now need to some properties and to give set here the value, and one more thing. So need to create here the animate folders. Need to set here the create here the new folder anim, theme folders are created inside. We need to create here the two more XMLs. First one is the in animation dot XMLs, and another files need to develop here the out animation XMLs need to give this here. Inside we need to write this like this. We need to code this years. This is the in animations are the setting this year. Need to write down. Need to write this text inside the, sorry about that, into wrong place. Need to set, we need to set inside the in animations, and now need to save here, and now need to write down here the out animations. Need to copy here and to paste this here for the out animations. Need to set this here the file, and now need to create here the XML folders. Need to develop here, create here the new file folders, give this name here the XML, and inside need to create here the music player info files. Write down here the file, music at XML. Down here this file name. Inside need to set here some property to give here the app widgets providers. We need to pass this here the value. We need to descriptions, need keyboards layout, regard layout, initial layout. We need to maximum width and minimum width and minimum heights. We need to give here the resizables. We need to give this like property. We need to set this here, and value inside. So need to create here the files. First of all, need to create here the attribute XMLs. Need to put here. Now need to copy this here the resource. It's like to app ending inner radius and app radius. We need to set this here the value. Now need to save. Another need to set here the colors. For need to all property are for the need to set here the XML to create here the file dot XML. Now need to set this here. So need to copy here and to set here the resource colors. Need to set here. Now need to save. Another files need to develop here the new file to write down here team estimations XML. Need to set this here, copy here and to paste this here the remove knowledge, set here, and string files need to develop here. Create here the new file string XML. Now need to set this here, copy this here to paste this here the string value. Need to use this button descriptions and to set like this value. Now need to go inside the styles and to configure here the style value. Needs here the normal themes. After so need to theme need to pass here this value. After so need to set here the theme XML to create here the new file .xml. Now need to save. Okay. Paste this here this all value. You need to stop video and to write down these all lines. Any spelling mistake need to write this all text. Otherwise need to share this video files inside our GitHubs, and you need to copy these all files and to paste here. Easy to write down here these all things. You need to give inside here the GitHub source codes. You can copy and paste inside your source codes. This is for the goods here. And last ones need to create here the art styles. Need to check this here. No any changes here. Now here the main activity we need to set here the change some codings. We need to read here the change. So set this here. Control. No any issue. Now need to set this always here. Now need to configure here the gradles. Need to configure here first of all. Needs here. Need to set here the minimum SDK versions. We need to set this here the 21. And another things need to set here the release inside the write down here the ports. Any enable equal to need to set here another spin at this to value. Check here also these versions. Need to check this one because we need to use here the 3-point buttons. Need to use these Flutter versions. That's why I need to configure here this version. Need to set this years. Now need to set this. Also need to go inside the gradles to check here property issue. Property in gradles, will gradle inside into check versions are to set at this here issue. And one more property you need to this value here copy sub projects to configure here sub applications. Need to edit this here. Like this configuration, you copy and paste this value here. Now need to save, and again so need to verify here the manifest files the receivers. Check like this value need to here inside here this value. And maybe this is the Android configurations, widgets configurations are the done. No any issue. Need to one time test inside the Flutter simulators. Now simulator are the runs and need to run inside here the. Now need to open here the main. Check working goods or not. If not working, to ball pick inside the errors. Now need to push this video. Now app is running here. and not any issue inside the buildings. Need to confirm first of all integrate these Android related widgets plugins. This is the make sure working after need to integrate here the audio service. This is for the good for the developing, and this is the UI are working goods inside the Android apps. No any issue. All UI here. And now need to integrate here first of all the audio helpers folders need to create here. Write down here the library and to create here the audio helper class. We need to create here the new folders. Audio helper folders are the integrates here. First of all, so you need to here the audio handler, Dart class needs. Then afterwards you need to here the media item the convert dot. Another need here the player page managers need here. This is the most important parts of this audio player here to manage playlist. Create and to create here the other methods in web get darts file, and last ones need to create here the service allocate. Darts. This is the file create for the helpers class. Now need to one by one. First of all, the integrations for the first of all, we need to here the audio helpers. Need to set here the audio player helper. Now need to go first of all select here the audio helper files and need to create one by ones property to define here. Now need to set this here the create first of all the one methods for the features void methods and to initialize this audio service. We need to write down here the global method. So need to import first of all this write down these methods here and to since methods need to develop here. Mr. Pauls need to import here the audio service, and now need to return to create here the await audio service dots need to init calls here, and we need to create first of all the one methods abstract class. Before we need to here the one interface. We need to create here the abstract class. Audio player handler. Implemented audio helpers. And now need to create here the some methods. After need to create, first of all need to needed class need to develop here. Need to create here the my helper, audio helper handler, not helper handler. Extend the base audio handlers with implemented elements audio player handlers for this here. Now need to pass here the my audio handlers here, and need to write down here the config to use here the audio service config. First of all need to set here the Android notification channel ID to give here the com code for any to set here the music player dot channel dot audio. This is the channels we need to create here, and now we need to create here the Android's notifications names. Need to channels names need to give here the music player. Then after need to set here the icon to write down here the drawable slash on state music note. And now need to create here the Android show notifications base. We need to do here another Android stop foreground push. We need to set here the true, and set here the last one notifications colors gray. Need to first of all import here the material dependency class, and to use this here the gray color 900 at this here. Write down here the semicolons, and first of all need to integrate here the initialize methods and my audio handlers structures need to create here. This need to pass this here and need to save here. Now need to define here some property. Need to initialize the player and playlist. First of all need to define here the player audio player initialize, and to import this dependency here. Just audio player need to add here. Now we need to create here the playlist. To use here the concurrented audio source. Here the blank. Use here the lazy preparations. Need to give here the true. Set this here, and letters need to initialize int capable, repayable, notifications. Done. Is equal to set here the 1 2 3. Now need to set this here, and first of all need to create here the one functions for the empty to remove this codes. Set here the load empty playlist. All these functions here to write down here the feature void method to since call this method here. So now need to call here this here. Now need to write down here the try catch. Inside need to mode print errors need to give here error key that this here. Use here the prefable notification buttons is equal to set here the now need to await layers need to set here set audio source set here the playlist. Now need to no needs any other things. Now need to set this here the empty playlist, and now need to create here the notify audio handler about the playback events. Need to write down here the functions need to calls here. First of all need to use here the futures, set here the void, write down here the notify audio handler about back event. Need to set this here and to write down here the since methods. This is the here listening all the native control buttons need to listen here and to call this method here inside this constructor. Now need to write down here the player dot play stack event stack stream listens need to call this here out this method here and define here the one property final playing is equal to player play. Now need to open here the playlist and need to copy this stack. Add methods need to needs here, copy this here, these functions need to needs here and need to put this here and need to configure this all value. Need to remove first of all the all comments. To configure here the just audio player here First of all, need to set here the skip to preview. Then after need to set here one conditions. Skip playing. Then we need to set here the push. Else we need to set here the media control. Dot play. And after stop and skip to next. This is the set here, and now need to remove these all things on its here, and auto compact you need to set this indicators value, and now need to set this here the states need to set here supports need to call this here const dot write down here the processing state is equal to idle property is equal to colons. Need to pass here the audio processing state dot idles need to set this here. Suppose need to fix this here. Dot processing state exclamatory signs, and now need to copy and to paste this here the whole state and to set here the one by ones. Then after need to loading state need to give this here the loading state. Then after need to buffering state buffering and here buffering. Then after need to ready state set this here, and last one is the related. Now need to create here the repeating modes. Need to set this here the const value, and to set this here, and to give this here the player dots loop mode. Need to set here the exclamatory signs, and now need to set here the loop mode dot op. Set here the audio source, repeating mode, audio service repeating modes need to set here the nuns. Now need to copy here and to paste this other, and to create here the one, then after all, and after need to set here the stopping mode stopper mode is equal to nets. Need to set here the player stopping mode enables. Then need to set here the property stopping all need to set here audio source to set here the none, and now need to give here the state here the play. Then after need to set here the duration for the set here player positions need to give this here, and then after buffering to set here the player dot buffering positions set this here. Now need to set here the speed dot speed need to give this here, and last one is the player event dot here the current index need to give this here, and need to configure here the playback events need to configure this old state. Then now need to create here the another functions need to develop here the listener suppose to return types future void need to set this here, and to write down here the listen or the duration changes. And to call these methods, first of all need to write down here the async methods. Asynchronize these functions need to write down. Copy this value here and to call these methods inside the constructors. And now need to create here the one by one the integration of the duration change. Need to define here the player dot durations stream and listens. Now need to give here the event to replace name here the duration semicolon. See now these methods now need to first of all need to find out it text is equal to write down here the player dot current indexed, and after need to get here the final new queue is equal to write down here the queue value. This is the basic class property. We need to use here the current index. Now need to get this here not current index, needs here the queue value. Now need to check here the one property index is equal to not equal to null, equal to if null, sorry about that, and or queue is empty, or so need to set this here the queue length less than of indexed. Then we to return these functions no any execution the next. First of all need to check here the player stopping mode enables, then need to set here the index is equal to call this here the player index of the need to get this here this value. Now need to define here the final hold media item is equal to here the new queue, get here the indexed value. Now need to final property, get here the new media items is equal to need to get the whole media copy with durations, set as a durations this here, and create here the new queue index of the value is equal to set here the new item, then after need to set here add as a new queue. And now need to media items add here, set here the new media item. Now need to this is the listening durations, need to change events, need to call this years, and now need to write down here the listens, add more listeners for the current song index change, and to call this here the future void methods need to write down here the async value. Need to call these functions inside the constructors. Now need to set this here. Now need to write down here the player dot current stream index and listen this here, and to write down here the indexed, and last one is to pass here the semicolons. And now need to get here the final playlist, need to here the playlist, EP playlist is equal to set here the queue dot value. So now set here public p playlist is empty. Need to check this here, not then need to return this here. No any operations performs. If need to check here the player is stopping enables, then need to write down here the index is equal to player stopping indicates stop the value, set here the indexed. Now need to set here the media item dot adds the playlist, give here the now need to set this here, and these functions are the completes here. And now need to create here the another listeners, listen for the sequence, state change. Since methods need to write down here, call this method here, call these methods inside constructors. And now need to call this method about the this. And now need to write down here the here dot sequence string listens the listens to change this name here the sequence. State. Now need to get here the final sequence. Is equal to need to here the sequence state. Effective sequence. Need to check sequence equal to null is empty. Then we to return this function to write down here the items is equal to sequence yep. Write down here the source tag as we need to pass here the media item semicolons. Now need to add this queue side, need to add this here the item of the this is the word sequence. Listen here. And now need to create here the some methods. Need to three methods are the develop inside here this audio helpers. First of all need to needs here the picture wide and to write down here set view and to give here the media items. Set here the media items to now need to here paste this here, this value here, to change this name, move your item, and to get the past get the int current indexed. Other methods need to write down here the remove item indexed, give here the indexed methods, and to the comma, and now need to add here the missing override methods. Need to call this here. Now need to give here the one by ones. Need to with just audio player need to configure like the play, push tops need to like this, and add to queue, remove queue. Need to write down here the these functions need to calls here for inside the my audio handlers. Need to handling this all the player related configurations. Need to write down here the functions. Bishop also need to create here the add queue. We need to like these functions. Need to call here add queue. Methods are the override here. Terms here. Now need to remove and to call here the asynchronous functions. Need to give this name here and to create here the one futures functions. Need to develop here the add items create source. Need to create here the first of all to write down here the URI audio source, return this value here, and to create audio source the items this, to set this here functions, and to return these methods here, and to write down here the audio source into dot URI, and to pass this here the URI dot parse, use here the media terms extra, and to this key URL as we need to pass as a string. Set here the comma, to tag to pass as items media items. Need to give as a and to this here to give here the exclamation signs. That's why I need to get this here errors, and to set this configuration. Other methods need to write down here, to copy here, and to create here the here to write down here the copy here source dot map functions need to call here. Down here, get here the to list, to this here the item, and to pass here item, set here, return this value here. Okay, now need to call these methods one by once. Need to configure here and need to write down here. First of all, need to write here the final audio source is equal to, need to create here the audio source and to set here the down here the semicolons, and now need to set here the await and to write down here the add methods inside it to pass this audio source, and to final new queue need to define here is equal to get here the queue value to dot add this value set this here, and to write down here the queue dot add value, pass here the new queue value, and now need to same as need to copy these functions to get here items, remove this here, write down here, need to copy these functions and to paste this here, need to change here source. Now need to add wall, change need to calls, ms need to pass here the add wall, and to pass here the s, and to add inside the queue. Since functions need to write down here, format this text here. This is the notify change the your queue, need to notify this and to notify system, and now need to create here the another update media items, need to call these functions here. Since methods need to write down here, and to write down here the final indexed is equal to get here the queue value indexed where, and to set here the item and to change here the items. Now need to check here the item dot id is equal to, need to get here the media item dot id, then to get this value here. Now need to where data array is equal to value. Now need to set this here and set here the data array text the value, and to set here the media item. Then after need to set update the fire the notified the systems to data array. Okay, now this is our the set this years, and now need to call here the set playlist, need to functions, write down these functions here, need to needs integrates here. First of all, need to check here the our platform is Android, not Android, and to stop this audio player. First of all, player dot top methods need to call this here, and to write down here the wait, clear. Now need to get here the get count is equal to clear the queue or to write down these functions for the get here the length of the queue, write down here the await, and to playlist is remove range 0 to get count. This is the clearing, and now need to call here the audio source. Need to copy here the audio source codes to paste this here. And await, and need to configure here the tune layer inside this source, set the audio source, and to give here the playlist, and then after need to give here the initialize index, need to pass it the text, then after need to initial positions, need to duration 0, need to set this here, and to write down here the semicolons, and to call this methods here, and to integrate this the new playlist, and now need to call here the update queue events, need to call here, let queue here, and since methods need to write down here, and first of all need to create here the await playlist clear. Now need to create here the await playlist, add walls, and to create source to get the queue. All these functions here, and need to write down here, and now need to create here the remove queue item at, so need to override these functions, need here list of words, write down here remove queue item ads, need to override this method here to remove here, and to write down here the since methods. Now need to create here the wait playlist, and to remove range set as a 0, and to give text. Now need to finals new queue is equal to set here equal to queue value, and to set here the clear is all list, and now need to set here the queue. Add set as a new queue. Next need to remove queue at items, need to set this here. Now need to write down here the configures like the play push buttons, need to configure here. Stoppers need to write down here the play, since methods need to call here, and to await functions to player dot play methods, need to call this here, and after need to set here the push method, set here the since, write down here the await set as a player dot push methods, need to call this here, then after need to set here the seek bars, but you need to set this here the seek positions, need to set this here over at this method here call wait, and to call here the await functions sick to set here the positions. Now to configure CS. Then after need to create here the sick item in queue items. Need to set this here and to sync methods. Now need to write down list of hours. Need to check here the indexed less than 0 or indexed more than value dot length. Then we to return these methods here and to write down here the if player dot stop and mode enables. Then we to set here the text is equal to get here the player get here the indexed value. Now need to set here the player sick and to set here the durations 0. Then after need to pass this here the indexed value that has a now need to configure here the skip to next. For this method here skip next and another skip to this here since and write down now need to create here the skip to previous all here the since methods and now need to wait to write down here the player sick previous. Then after need to set here the repeat modes. Need to call these methods here the repeat modes this here is since methods and to create here the switch case statement executes here and use here the repeat mode. Set this here and to write down here the audio source repeat mode dot none. Then to set here the player set loop mode and to give this here the loop op copy this value and see here to set property years. Now need to set as a group and all set as a all. Then after need to set here the 1 and to set here. Now need to set here the stopping mode. Set this here, these functions now call here and to set this here the sequence and to use here the player StateManagement if stop mode equal to audio source audio stop set is equal to wall. So to set here not wall none. Then we do here set stop enables need to false, otherwise we need to true. Set this here, this like value, and want to configure here the stop modes, and now need to create here the custom actions. Here so need to use here the custom actions. Okay, to get these methods and to call here the machines, and we need to write down here the check if name is equal to dispose, and need to first of all the wait functions need to call here, and to clear dispose methods need to call this here. Then after need to super dot stop methods need to call this here, and create here the stop methods to write down here the assigns. Wait need to first of all the layer dot stop, then after need to set here the black stats heads, and to set here the state value, copy, set here the process state is equal to audio process state set idles need to set this here. Then after need to calls here the super, return here the super dot stop methods need to call this here. Now need to call here the moving items. Wait, since, and to write down here the await functions need to call here the playlist, move, and to get here the current indexed, and to give here the new indexed. Now need to call here the remove at indexed methods need to call here since, wait, playlist, to remove it, for this here the index value, and this is the audio players. Handlers are the dones here the configurations, and to set this here. Now need to create here the media converter to class this calls here, and need to configure here. First of all, so need to create here the class need here. First of all, to set here the class names, and to give here the media item convert Give these class names. C is small, and now need to get here static methods for the here to meet function seers and these functions need to first of all needs here the map functions to get the song, then after need to pass here added play and to set here false. Another parameters need to set here the autoplay, set here true, and set here optionals and to play boxed. To set these parameters and need to call these methods here and to first of all the return here the item. Now needs here the song dots id need to see here, give here the toString methods, and ms need to pass here the titles. We need to set here the title song dot to give this here set to the gets for the optional value, otherwise need to get this here errors. Now need to fix this error here and write down here the semicolons and format this text here. And we need to needs here the submitters and others also here string get here page URL, write down here string and page URL. String quality need to use here, quality parameters need to like high, medium, low, like these parameters. Here quality is equal to let's here and this year's page URL equal to then we to return here the now need to switch case, we need to write down here the quality here case property we need to set here. First of all need to set here the case is equal to get here the height then we to return here image URL trim replace all http colon http to Right down here to replace walls again, so need to see here by. Now need to set like this, need to value here. Set here the defaults. To give it the return this here the high value. Now need to copy ears and do that as a low and medium. First of all, need to set here the medium, and now need to set here the now need to set here the low and to set here the value. Low value need to set here T and here T. Now need to set this all value here, and now need to another property, you need to media items, you need to configure here, need to set here the albums, need to set song, this here the string, then need to set here the artist is equal to pass here the songs, to give here the artist string. Then after passed here the durations, to give the durations seconds, int parse, pass here the song, and to give your duration. Like this, we need to set this here the durations. Now need to get here artist URL URI, at this value here. Now need to set here the genres. Extra, need to set this here the extra property and to edit by this property. Give here the this autoplay value and to pass this here. And to configure here the runs this whole property to call this here. Now need to first of all need to go inside the page manager and to create here the page manager class. We need to develop here, define here the class, page manager, and first of all need to create here the service locators, need to develop here, and then after we do other things, we need to get it. all these years is equal to it methods need to call is equal to write the get dot instance methods need to use these years and calls here the features void setup service locator. Write down here the since methods and to the use here the get it dot register single stones need to call this here these methods and to assign here the audio handlers and to this inserts here the await and to calls here the init service. Then after need to calls here the registers here the again single stones set here manager and now need to write down here the calls here the page manager functions. Now need to add this here to use here the lazy register here the as a lazy. Now need to save this here balls. Now need to set here some notifiers need to create here the some class need to get here need to get here the class as a play button notifier and to extend this property and to write value notifier so as a return state. And first of all need to define here the button states property. Need to create state. First of all need to the push then after loading and now need to define here the notifier also here the super the initial value need to give this here the button state dot push all this value. Now need to create here the progress states to develop here the class progress progress bar state. Now need to clear duration. Then final duration buffer. And after create here the final and total. And to this here the initialize methods. The constructor. And now need to call this value as a notifier. So need to create here the class progress notifier. Write down here the extend, give here the value notifier, and to set this here the progress bar state, and to set here the progress notifier to this here, to paste this here, and now need to set here the initialize value, need to set here static const, give this initialize value, need to set as a progress bar, set here the current duration dot 0, we need to pass this here, then after we need to set here the buffer durations, that has a 0, and last one we need to set here the totals, use here the duration, set as a 0. Now need to see here column. Why not working this? Now need to set here finals, and then after need to see here. And another need to set here the states for the repeating. Need to create here the enum repeat Set here the op, and after repeat song, and after last one repeat all song. Now need to create here the repeat state notifiers. Need to create here. So need to define here the first of all the class to use here the repeat. Button notify. Extend to write down here the set here the state, set this value, copy this here the repeat requires value, initialize this value as to pass here the super init, give this init value here and to pass this here to initialize the static const. Like this, we need to this here, set as state, and to set here the op, and one more void methods need to call this here. Next, need to give this value here and to pass this like this value, and this is for the repeat states. Buttons notifiers need to create here and to this here, and now need to configure here the page managers. You need to configure, you need to needs here. First of all, need to depends here some variables for the to calls here the final keywords, and to write down here the current song notifier is equal to give here the value notifier and to give this here the null value here, and now need to define here the types media item, set this here nulls. Another, so need to create here the playlist notifiers. Need to set this here, copy this here, set here, and set here playlist notifiers, the item, initialize the blank. Then after need to place back state notifiers. Need to set this here, need to copy here and to write down here the play state playback state notifier. Now need to give this value as a need to use audio progress and then need to initialize here the value audio states and to set here the ideal. Then after need to set here the progress notifiers. Give this here, copy here, and now to paste progress bars. Need to set here the progress notifier. Initialize here and to give here the progress notifier. And then after need to set here the repeat notifiers. Set as a repeat button notifiers. This here. Repeat button notifier. And then after need to create here the is push tongue notifiers. This here is pushed tongue fire. And to set this here the value bools need to pass as a true. Like this need to set this here, and another need to create here the is last chunk. Then after need to create here the play button notifiers. Need to create here the display button notifier. To write down here the final play button notifier is equal to initialize display button notifier. And then after need to create here the suffering notifiers. Need to use here the that has a false, and to create here the suffering mode notifiers. Need to set this here and get here the final one objects. Need to needs here the audio handler. To get here the get it audio handlers. To get this here the class and use here the this get it methods to initialize here. And now need to create here the void init methods. Need to call this here the synchronize, and one by one need to create here. First of all needs here the need to create here the one functions void listen to change in a list. These methods need to calls initialize this methods times. Need to call this method here, and now need to write down here the methods audio handler dot q dots. Need to listen, set here the list, and to set here the semicolons. And now need to check here the if playlist is empty. Then need to write down here the playlist notifier value is equal to get the blank array, and to set here the current song notifiers value need to give here the null value. Else parts need to set this here the playlist notifiers value is equal to need to give here the this playlist, assign this here, and to call here the others methods need to write here update sick. These methods need to call inside these functions. After need to write down here the these functions calls and to this button. First of all, need to write down here the this buttons events. Need to first of all need to find nulls. Get here the media item is equal to write down here the audio handlers. Dots need to get here the media dot value. Get here the now need to get here the final playlist is equal to get here the audio playlist audio handlers, and to get here the queue value need to needs here value. Now need to check here if play list length less than 2 oblique or media item is equal to null. Need to get this here, then we to set here the is first notifiers dot value need to set as a true. Same as we need to copy here and to write down here the last notifier set as a true. Else parts need to write down here like this value. If you the first notifier value, copy this value here and configure this value here to write down here the playlist is first equal to media items. Check here against need to check as a last. Now need to set this here, and now need to create here the another methods need to develop here. Need to listen to play states. Need to write these configurations. Listen void methods need to call here. Need to write down here the listen change flash state and to create seers. First of all, need to call here the audio handlers and need to set here state listen here to write down here the stack back state this here. Now need to depend here the is playing is equal to stack state dot is playing. Get this response here. Now we need to get here the processing state is equal to write down here the play stack state dot processing states. Need to set this here. Now need to set here some property. Processing state is equal to need to set here the audio processing state dot loading. So need here and to set here the buffering public or need to set here like these conditions. Then need to set here the play button notifier value. Need to give here the button state dot loading. We need to set this here. Else if set this here. Check here the loading. Check not play. Cheers and here and notify to give button state dot push. Else if need to write down here down here not complete. Notify dot value. We need to give this here the button state dot play. Else pass we need to set this here the play button. Notifier dot value is equal to button set here here sick or to duration to set 0, then audio and dot set calls here the push methods. Call this here and to call this method here the playback status. Need to call this methods here. It's here. Now need to create here the another methods. Need to develop here. Write down here the list sun current positions of the sigma. This method here and to write down here the audio service conditions listen to get here the condition. And to write down here the final hold state is equal to get here the progress notifier value and then get the progress notifier value is equal to give here the progress bar. State current need to set here the positions, and after need to state dot buffer, and after need to get state totals, need to give this here and to save here. This is the current positions. We need to get this here and to call this here the methods. Write down here. Now need to create here the another listener for the buffers. Need to copy here this here, write down here the upper positions. Now need to call this methods here, listen the buffer positions, and need to listen here the methods. Need to use handlers, states, listen. So here check it. To write down here the final here. Here set his state current need to this years into state check state, and to set here for positions, and to set this like this value, and same as you need to copy this value these methods, set here the total positions, give this years, and to copy to set this here the current positions. This is not working. Goods to change the status as a media items. Listen media to, and to change here the item, give this name, and to set here the state. Now we need to this value, use here the media item dots duration 0 to give this here the value. Set this value, and call this method, listen this value, now need to change another methods, listen here, change in song here, write down here the audio Alerts, media items, option. Here the item. Configures here current song notifier value. Need to give this here the media item. Set this here and need to update sync buttons. Need to call this here refresh UI. And now need to create here some other functions. Need to develop here the play buttons. Is like this value audio dot play here image push this here push button push method audio dot push methods. Need to call this here to write down here the sick set here now need to set here the audio handlers. Need to set here the sick to give it the position value. Image need to set here the previous void previous song or need to also here the handlers dot skip to methods void. Another methods need to develop here for text songs. Need to calls here these methods for the audio handler dot sick and need to create here the another methods. Need to features methods. Need to here feature right and to share the players. Since methods need to call this here and to set here done await functions to call this. Now need to create here the update queue feature void so here methods name use here the update queue now need to call here the list media items. Thank you. Set here the since value this years and to calls here the return methods. Await functions need to call here and to write down here the audio handler dot let pass this here. Need to copy here and write down here. Also only single one media need to updates. Give here the media items. And now need to write down here the items. Need to this here the items to call these functions here. Same, we need to call here the move items. We need to call these functions here. Copy here and to change this name move items and to pass here the current index to set here. Now need to move here. Not put this here. Maybe as need to pass here audio play handler and to call this here the move view current index need to pass this here like this to call this methods here to use here the custom methods instead to create here the custom methods. That's why I need to call like this value. And same as we need to copy here these methods and to remove items, remove queue items, and now need to remove here the index to set this here. Now to write down here the remove queue item indexed and to here and to pass this here the value. Here. And then after we need to create here the custom actions to call here. Write down here this method here. Set here the custom actions. Call these custom actions methods and pass here string name. Same as need to pass this name. Call these methods here the custom actions. And another methods need to develop here same as need to copy the and to skip. Give here the indexed. Here the skip terms and to give this indexed value. Now need to set here the word repeats. Need to this here set here the repeat. Put a notifier the next state here. Now need to the final repeat mode. Is equal to set here the button notifier value at this here, and now need to use here the switch case statements and to pass this here the and to configure here the repeat mode. State dot to call here the op, then we to set here audio handlers. If we set here the repeat state modes and to set as audio once we need to set this here. I'm like need to copy here paste this here. Now need to set as a song 1. Then after need to set here set as a repeat playlist. The repeat here and to set here states here state wise. Need to create here the future methods. Need to copy here, use here the set and to get the value audio repeat set here, give this value here and pass this here and to call this switch methods. So need to set here and to set here to share its value. Now need to set here the repeat button notify its value is equal to set here the state of. Now need to copy here and paste this. And now need to set here song after repeat playlist. Need to set this here and another need to set this cache group. Same as need to configure here the settings. Need to set this here. This need to call here the assigns methods and now need to get here the finals enables is equal to write down here the is sub notify the value to set this here. Now need to set here sub equal to need to be the enables to check here the if enable spots. Now need to set here to false. Need to forget this line, that's why I need this here to not work the set descriptions. Now need to pass here audio handlers, set here stop and set here the audio all here. Same as we need to pass this value that as a none. Okay, same as we need to configure here sub modes property here here, here more, and now need to give need to pass as a, now need to stop is equal to set here the equal to need to give here service or now need to turn here these functions and to call this method here its value. Now need to save and need to create here the next methods of here sure void to write down here the add set here media items item. Since methods here write down here and to calls here the audio helpers let's adds to queue items need to this here media items. Now need to call these functions here. Methods need to create here the these functions. Let's need to call this here and to down here right items then need to here now need to items here items and then need to pass this here text here so need and to get the playlist so here it now need to get here is empty then we do these functions here here now need to write down here while first need to call the write down it gives here the last here audio handler value length -1 and to calls here last indexed then 0 and with to then these functions not executes here the no needs and to calls here and items to last index all this method and now need to false, we need to here, down here. And now need to clear this here. No parameters needs, need here, and to false here the here the index value, this condition here, and set here handler to item at that has a last index for the, and one methods need to say dispose to call here the system methods, write down here the system actions, dispose this method. Others need to, last ones need to, for this class need to features, and to down here the body method stop. Since methods need to call this here the stop method, set this here, and to write down here the await, and to audio handlers need to also here the stop, and after need to wait to handle, set seek duration as a need to set as 0, and after need current song, notifier value need to share null value, and after await remove all methods need to call this here, and after await sure delay need to set here, set here action. The seconds need to the 300 here. This is the page managers are the created done, and now need to develop here the layer invoke methods need to create here. First of all need to need these methods for the loading this list, need this here, need to write down here the play invokes side need to create here the some class develop here, now need to go inside to define here properties, need to need here first of all need to set here the play times, it date and times, and set here cap time, and to set here and time, but now need to set this here, and after need to set here the bool get processing, and to return value is equal to get date time between minute time milliseconds 600, Now need to set here timer. Rebouncings. Now need to write down here. Just rebouncing. Need to give here the list song. Now need to create here the debouncings objects. Need to first of all the old one is the cancels. Then after need to create here the against debouncings objects is equal to need to set here the timer and to set here the const durations. Set here the millisecond. Set here 600. Now need to here the methods. This is the debouncings methods. Need to calling the multiple tabbings. Need to ignore that's why need to use here the debouncings methods. Need to call this here and to this here the issue. First of all need to write down here the some class need to develop for the here. Player invoke here the methods. Now need to set here the static final page manager is equal to give here the get text, get it, not GetX, get it, get here the page managers objects. Need to get this here and now need to call here the static feature void methods. Need to call here for the and to define here some property at the void list song touch record. And to set here some property into boots from mini player by default are false. Then after full top now need to last one string question mark box. To write down here the since method. Now need to write down here final well here is equal to get this here the 0 pass error 0, otherwise need to this here. Now need to set here as I need to final list is equal to get here the song to list. If here the stop this method from not many players and to also the platform is Android, not Android, and to it page manager stop all this method here and to get here the options for set this value to write down here static set value and the index. Then after need to set here the recommended is equal to set here the false. Let's break it here. And here the since methods. Set here the let's need to call this here completions need to just void all this method here. Now need to get here the methods. Write down here final the media item is equal to create here the view blank, set this here, then after need to get the map the item is equal to and after finals set here the item is equal to get here the indexed equal to and -1 array text as now need to add here the queue all items. We need to add this here, create here the iterables all array dot map to call this here and to write down here the song, and now need to create here the media hit this here and to call this here map to items. Need to this here the song as we need to pass map give here the autoplay recommended, so need to set this here also here the semicolons comma and this is the set walls. Need to call this methods here, and last ones need to set here the play next value into this here, or here static method futures, and to set here the void date and play. Now need to give here the list, give here the media, items, and to set here the value as a queue. Then after need to give here the for here the assigns methods, and to write down here the try catch. To like this here the and to print here the error. This methods here and call here need to write down here the some methods. Await need to calls. First of all need to write down here the call this method here the update next play. Need to give here the queue, and index need to pass this here and to call this method here. Now need to save, and you need to create here the page managers dots set stop, and to give this value here the audio set none. Then after need to await, set here the page managers, and to edits, to give here the view, and then after need to pass here the index. Awaits need to call here the page manager play events, need to call this here the play song. And then after need to the this way. Now need to call these functions. After the inits need to configure here the set value, to give this here the final list, and to give here the global list. Now need to set this here, and to save this here, and to play in nodes class are the developing done, and to needs here some configurations into calls here the main files. Need to calls here and to configure here the some class needs here. First of all need to convert here the main as a scenes methods need to call here. First of all need to widgets down here the widget bindings need to ensures initialize, need to call this method here, and then after need to call here the awaits to set up locators, need to call this here, and now need to call here the init this state create inside first of all refactor, and to create here the stateful widgets, and now need to state to calls here, and to call here the super init to get it, page managers, get these functions here and call here the init methods to initialize this value here and to set this here. And one more thing, so need to set here the dispose methods. All these here, write down here the calls here the get it, here the page manager, and to calls here the dispose methods, so need to call this here to see the this value here, and we need to, and next video we need to say here the main players and main video players, audio players we need to integrate inside our apps. This is the most important parts of this app. One video inside this all configurations related to audio service with just audio players with backgrounds modes. We need to configure related more informations and to all functions. If you like this video, please give the thumbs up. If you're new user, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any question, so please write down in the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. And everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care.